Good morning, friends, and welcome back to Trans India. Real people, real emotions. In the last few years, we have seen a boom in the construction industry, be it infrastructure or houses or other projects. Naturally, this has led to a huge demand for construction equipment, and with such huge demand in hand and much more anticipated in the coming years, the Excon 2022 held in Bangalore earlier this month attracted a lot of attention. Coming back after the pandemic, Excon 2022 was the first event held in person, and the participation in terms of exhibitors as well as delegates was enough evidence that this segment is looking at a very bright future ahead. Excon 2022 was inaugurated by the Chief Minister of Karnataka, Mr. Basavaraj Bommai, along with General V.K. Singh, Union Minister of State for Road Transport and Highways. Speaking at the inauguration ceremony, General V.K. Singh said that the construction equipment must be prepared for the competitive market situation and focus on revamping itself. He also asked the players in the segment to concentrate on automation, adoption of advanced technologies, global best practices, alternate fuels, and innovations in using waste material. The target, he said, should be to diminish the cost of construction and rate of pollution. Also giving a huge confidence boost to the segment, General V.K. Singh said that the government is embarking on major infrastructure and industrial projects worth rupees 100 lakh crore. In this episode, we shall be talking to Mr. Jalaj Gupta, Business Head, Commercial Vehicle Business Unit, Mahindra and Mahindra. And also we shall be bringing our interaction with Mr. Rajesh R., VP Defence and PSB, Ashok Leyland. But before that, the big announcement by the government last week. Reduction in taxes on fuel. Last Saturday, the government announced reduction in excise duty by rupees 8 on petrol and rupees 6 on diesel, bringing the much needed relief to the consumers, especially the road transport industry. But does that still solve the everlasting problem for the road transport industry? Determination of freight rate following increase or decrease in diesel prices. हम कई साल से ये देखते आ रहे हैं कि डीजल प्राइसेस के बढ़ने या घटने से फ्रेट रेट्स पर बहुत ज़्यादा इम्पैक्ट नहीं होता है. इनफैक्ट जब डीजल प्राइसेस बढ़ते या घटते हैं, ट्रांसपोर्टर्स भागते अपने कस्टमर्स के पास एंड विदाउट एनी साइंटिफिक मेथड वी सिंपली नेगोशिएट. Even after so many decades, the industry does not have a scientific method of determining freight, and most of the times freight is fixed following a series of negotiations. हम कई सालों से कहते आ रहे हैं कि फ्रेट रेट डिटरमाइन करने के लिए एक साइंटिफिक मेथड, एक फॉर्मूला होना चाहिए which should be accepted by the transporters, the truckers and also the customers. But now there are two organizations who are working on an index that would give a sense of operating cost and freight rates. All India Transporters Welfare Association and Rivigo have come up with an index that gives a rough idea, or rather a fair idea, of what the freight rates should be and what the operating cost is. लेकिन क्या इंडस्ट्री तैयार है अपने नेगोशिएशन सिस्टम से हटकर एक साइंटिफिक मेथड यूज करने के लिए? हमें नहीं पता फ्यूल प्राइसेस कम कब तक रहेंगे. In fact, oil companies have already indicated that their margins are under pressure and we may soon see a fuel price hike again. साथ ही साथ हम गवर्नमेंट से एक और रिक्वेस्ट कर रहे हैं कि अपनी पॉलिसी को थोड़ा सा ट्वीक करके फ्यूल प्राइसेस की जो रिवीजन है उसे एटलीस्ट 3 महीने में एक बार कर दें. इसमें गवर्नमेंट का लॉस नहीं होगा, इसमें ऑयल कंपनीज का भी लॉस नहीं होगा, क्योंकि 3 महीने के एंड में जो भी प्रॉफिट या लॉस हो उस बेसिस पे फ्यूल प्राइसेस को रिवाइज किया जाए. Aitwa too has been taking up this issue with the government, but this would need a lot of convincing. एक चीज़ तो तय है कि इस सिस्टम से रोड ट्रांसपोर्ट इंडस्ट्री को कुछ हद तक एक रिलीफ मिलेगी कि वो अपने कस्टमर्स से बात करके एटलीस्ट 3 महीने तक का फ्रेट फ्रीज कर दें. And as I said earlier, this would need a lot of convincing, and transport associations across India will have to come together on a single platform and talk to the government about this. So is the industry willing to focus on one subject that would mean a lot to the transporters, to the truckers and to everybody in the road transport ecosystem? But friends, coming up after this very short break, our interaction with Mr. Jalaj Gupta. You are watching Trans India, real people, real emotions.
महिंद्रा ये गारंटी देते हैं कि उनका ब्लेजो एक्स सबसे ज्यादा माइलेज देता है, वरना कर दीजिए ट्रक वापस.
सॉरी अजय, महिंद्रा फ्यूरियो है। एक्शन।
महिंद्रा गारंटी देते हैं कि उनका फ्यूरियो सबसे ज्यादा माइलेज देता है, नहीं तो
एक्चुअली जयो, महिंद्रा जयो है, थोड़ा चेंज है। एंड एक्शन।
महिंद्रा ये गारंटी देते हैं कि उनका जियो सबसे चल क्या रहा है यहाँ पे?
मैम, ये चारों ट्रक ज्यादा माइलेज देते हैं, चारों।
तो ऐसा बोलो ना, ब्लेजो एक्स, फ्यूरियो, फ्यूरियो 7 और जयो। महिंद्रा के ये सभी ट्रक्स देते हैं सबसे ज्यादा माइलेज की गारंटी, नहीं तो कर दीजिए इन्हें वापस। महिंद्रा, देश की सबसे ज्यादा माइलेज देने वाली ट्रक रेंज।
Welcome back to Trans India, real people, real emotions. We are at Excon 2022 in Bangalore and talking to Mr. Jalaj Gupta, Business Head, Commercial Vehicle Business Unit, Mahindra and Mahindra. So Jalaj, what are the products that you have displayed at Excon this year?
We have displayed our entire construction range. So we have displayed the one transit mixture, which is on the Blazo platform. We have displayed one tipper, which is 22 cubic meter tipper on our 35-ton Blazo tipper. We have displayed one tipper on the new LCV range, which is called the Furio. So there are two tipper, one transit mixture. Then we have displayed our entire construction equipment range, which is 3 type of graders and 2 type of backhoe machines. And apart from this, we have displayed a fuel bowser, which is the growing concept in the country, and we have displayed a Bolero pickup. So in all, we have about 9 products which are displayed over here in the Excon 21.
Jalaj, how much has the construction equipment segment changed in the last few years, especially given the fact that there has been a lot of impetus on road construction and other construction related projects?
Yes, so the entire industry last year was about 80,000 units, and the broad breakup is that the earth moving industry, right, is about 75% or so, and the road construction is now at about 6 to 8%. The composition of earth moving versus road versus concrete versus material handling, that equation has not changed much, but within the particular broad segments, right, the composition of those segments and how within those segments various sub segments are growing is changing quite a bit, right? So let's take, since we launched the G75, so within grader as a segment, right, the overall grader contribution may not be changing much because it is growing, because the overall construction equipment is growing. But within this, whether it is a 120 horsepower grader which is going, or it is the lower end of the grader which is growing, those particular things are changing. So what we are taken is a very, very bold step today. Instead of addressing the top end of the grader market, what we are addressing is the bottom of the pyramid, and which I said also in my address, that we are going to address that 48% of the rural roads, right, which are today uncatered to with this particular new particular product that we have given.
How significant is this particular product for the small operators?
Extremely important, and that's what we had in our mind when we conceptualized this particular product. That this particular product today, what happens is that a big operator, contractor, when he gets a rural road contract, right, he has two options. Either to use his big graders to do those roads. That is extremely inefficient way of doing it, because those are the graders which you use for doing a 4-lane express highway or a 8-lane express highway, right? Not a single rural road. So invariably what they do is they will find a local subcontractor and they will subcontract this particular work to him, and that contractor either gets it done manually, but in case he is a slightly well-to-do contractor, what he will do is he'll hire a local agri tractor with some of the supplements attached. Now that again is a very, very cost inefficient and B, time inefficient also. What this particular grader is going to do is it's going to save not only the cost of operation, but also going to hugely improve the productivity of doing the rural roads. Now imagine that you have now got an equipment which is going to help you improve the productivity while laying down of the rural roads, and that's our first step or our small contribution towards the laying of the rural roads in the country.
Jalaj, servicing construction equipment is always a challenge because you have to get to them rather than the vehicles or the equipment coming into your service stations.
Great. So great question. So we have what I call 3 physical touch points for the customer. We have 50 dealers who are available in brick and mortar. Then those 50 dealers have another 50 outlets, right? So there are 50 plus 50, 100, and we have 50 what we call as Sathi outlets. They are independent of the dealer. They just sell the spare parts. So there are 50 plus 50 plus 50, 150 such outlet. But your question is that most of the machines, they run off-site, right? How do you reach them in case there is a breakdown? Among our 50 dealers, we have 30 what we call are the spare part and service vans. So the concept is the machine need not come to the workshop. We will go to the particular customer. So a customer has our toll-free number. The customer calls, and our service van and the parts van, which is equipped to do all the small repairs of a particular machine, that will go to the particular customer and it will do all the repairs, etc. And this is right now 30. We intend by the end of the year to make it 50. So we'll keep it simple. 50 plus 50 plus 50 plus 50, about 200 ways in which we can reach out to the end customer.
Jalaj, construction equipments are always put through a lot of stress and tough conditions. How equipped are your vehicles to handle such working conditions where vehicles, what we believe, are mostly abused than used?
So I will not say that, and very honestly, we are not working on that end of making our products more and more abuse worthy, because there is no end to it, right? Because somewhere you also have to respect the government regulations, and there is a particular reason as to why government. So I'll put it this way, that to the extent that the industry practice is to abuse a particular vehicle, our products, Mahindra brand is always known for giving tough, rugged products, right? If you ask any of the customer, the first 2-3 words top of the mind they will talk about is rugged, tough, more suited to off-road kind of applications or so. So inherently the DNA of our product is tough and rugged, but we do it with a sense of responsibility that we don't want to work only on that end. Rather, instead of that, what we want to work is to tell the customer that your cost of operations, your mileage guarantee that we give, those are the things that we are offering to you. Your service guarantee we are offering to you. So we will ensure that you are more productive and you are more efficient, so that you will earn more. Because at the end of the day, what the customer, see, why does a customer does the abuse of a truck? He's not doing the abuse of the truck because he loves doing abuse. No, his end objective is to earn more money. So if we can teach the customer that by being more productive and being more cost effective, you can earn the same amount of money, it's the same job that we have done.
With the government announcing many more road projects, how do you see this segment growing, and what is the market share of Mahindra?
So market share numbers I'll not be able to give. So, but definitely we are number 2 grader manufacturer in the country. We would definitely want to be the top grader manufacturer in the country. We last year were number 5 player out of the 10 to 11 player which sell backhoe loaders. We definitely want to be among the top 3 or 4 players in the backhoe loader in the country. And as far as your first part of the question is concerned, next 3 to 4 years, the kind of money which is gone and the government has committed in various kind of infrastructure products. Now, whether it is ports or it is roads or it is housing or it is railways, if you cumulatively sum total all, we are talking of in excess of 100 lakh crore kind of investment which is promised, which will be pumped into next 3 to 4 years. So broadly the direction looks very, very positive. The dampeners could be the fuel prices and the price of the vehicle or the machine on account of inflation, commodity, or on account of the frequent regulation upgrades which are every manufacturer is supposed to do. So these 3 could be the dampeners.
Jalaj, speaking of commercial vehicles, the last few months have been very encouraging and the future too looks promising. How do you read this situation?
Absolutely. So I'm completely with you. The last year although was on a smaller base, which is F22, but it was still nowhere closer to F20, right? It was still lower than F20. This year we are definitely expecting the year to end at the same levels and maybe higher than what F20 was, right? The peak may still take maybe 2-3 years more. The F19, which was the peak of the commercial vehicle industry, it may still take 2-3 years more to come. But I believe that we have hit the bottom in FY21. FY22 was better than FY21. FY23, which is the current fiscal, will be better. So the recovery, the V shape of the recovery has already started. So we are extremely confident. Another 2-3 years or so, we may see the peak coming back.
And Jalaj, do you think the scrapping policy will be a key driver in this growth process?
Absolutely. The only thing is that as of now it is not mandatory, it is voluntary. But I am confident that as things evolve over a period of time, this year and next year, with more and more scrapping center and all those infrastructure in place, there will come a time whereby the incentive or the disincentive will be so high that more and more people will go in for this. But if your question is that will it be an impetus towards reaching that peak, answer is absolutely yes.
Well, exciting days for Mahindra and Mahindra as they open up another segment in the construction equipment industry. Coming up after this very short break, our interaction with Mr. Rajesh R of Ashok Leyland. You are watching Trans India, real people, real emotions.
महिंद्रा ये गारंटी देते हैं कि उनका ब्लेजो एक्स सबसे ज्यादा माइलेज देता है, वरना कर दीजिए ट्रक वापस।
सॉरी अजय, महिंद्रा फ्यूरियो है। एक्शन।
महिंद्रा गारंटी देते हैं कि उनका फ्यूरियो सबसे ज्यादा माइलेज देता है, नहीं तो
एक्चुअली जयो, महिंद्रा जयो है, थोड़ा चेंज है। एंड एक्शन।
महिंद्रा ये गारंटी देते हैं कि उनका जयो सबसे चल क्या रहा है यहाँ पे?
मैम, ये चारों ट्रक ज्यादा माइलेज देते हैं, चारों।
तो ऐसा बोलो ना, ब्लेजो एक्स, फ्यूरियो, फ्यूरियो 7 और जयो। महिंद्रा के ये सभी ट्रक्स देते हैं सबसे ज्यादा माइलेज की गारंटी, नहीं तो कर दीजिए इन्हें वापस। महिंद्रा, देश की सबसे ज्यादा माइलेज देने वाली ट्रक रेंज।
Welcome back to Trans India, real people, real emotions. We are at Excon 2022 in Bangalore and talking to Mr. Rajesh R, Vice President Defence and PSB Ashok Leyland. So Rajesh, what are the products that you have displayed at Excon this year? I believe it is mostly engines.
We are currently showcasing our BS CV4 vehicle platforms spread across the complete range of 4-cylinder, 6-cylinder and also the 8-liter engines. And we are also showcasing our gensets. What is new out in the expo is that the platform is changing from the current BS4 CV to the BS5 CV. So we are showcasing the next gen of how the EATS is going to look like, the after treatment system for the BS5 platforms. So there is no absolutely zero change on the engine per se. It's only going to be the after treatment system which is going to change. Moving across from the diesel platform, we are the first of its kind. CNG is being launched in this expo. We are launching the CNG platform with a 4-cylinder engine. This is going to be spread across for the complete portfolio of the construction equipment industry. As we speak today, there is nobody who is making a CNG for the construction equipment. So we want to be a little ahead of the curve to bring in a little technology as an alternate fuel for the market today. So that's where we want to play a role.
Rajesh, how acceptable or convenient will CNG vehicles be in the construction equipment sector, considering that it's an off-site operation?
Not really. If you're talking about, especially for the mining industry, quite a lot of companies have already started using the transportation business or the trucking industry. They already started looking at an option, alternate fuel option today. And let it be a CNG or let it be a LNG or the H2 based IC engines, etc. So the market per se is going to transform over a period of time. It may not mature as we expect for the automotive industry, but it's going to take a little bit of time. But I'm very confident that it's going to happen over the next few years. But we want to be the pioneer in the industry to actually migrate or tell the industry that we are ready with the CNG platform also for the construction equipment industry. Ruling out what we're talking about only, especially for the mines, there are also applications, for example, compressors today. wherein you're going to use a compressor. You don't need to go in for the CNG, but you can go for a natural gas with a pipeline coming on to burn the fuel for that. So there are also opportunities that we were looking at for the portable compressors and also for equipments which is going to be operating within a limited boundary. That's an opportunity which I'm looking at for the alternate fuels to come in the next future.
How much has the construction equipment segment changed in the last few years?
Absolutely, you're right. The transformation has primarily happened with respect to the emissions. So, like for example, a couple of years ago, before the CV4 was launched, all the equipment in the Indian industry was all using a simple mechanical powertrain system. Today, as we speak, everything is more related to how the automotive industry is migrating. Automotive industry migrated from the BS4 to the BS6 within a span of 3 years. Similar kind of migration is happening on the construction equipment industry also. So today, all the construction equipment industry beyond 74 horsepower is using electronically fueled engine. It's got an after treatment system, it's got an ECU, it's got sensors, it's got chips, and of course, coming back to the supply chain constraints on the chips, it's also affecting the industry as well today.
Rajesh, how challenging is it providing on-site servicing for these vehicles and equipments, and how is the Ashok Leyland network helping these?
I think as Ashok Leyland, our strength has been in the kind of network that we have developed. Leaving around the automotive network that we have,
well, friends, we have seen what Lloyd is all about and how it aims to help the transporters. But what are the figures?
Plus,
how many cases has Lloyd attended to, and what have been the savings for this industry? We'll continue this interaction on the other side of this break. You are watching Trans India, real people, real emotions.
In the construction industry, what it means is they can service their own trucks with the kind of service training that we're going to provide. The parts will be supplied by Ashok Leyland, and over a period of time, that becomes a norm in the industry. What it means to the end customer, his uptime is going to be guaranteed. He did not wait for one particular company to come and do the service, the other company to take care of the rest of the components. It's going to be a combined effort from the industry. We have been very successful in launching it with large corporates in India today, and that's going to grow over the period of time. So when it comes to the service network per se, there are two channels. One is through Ashok Leyland own channel and through the customers' training centers that we actually provide the training with the parts as well today.
Rajesh, construction equipment is always put through a lot of stress, and the working conditions itself are very tough. How equipped are your engines to handle such working conditions where the vehicles are overused and abused?
It's always a challenge because none of the automotive space, you actually move it across to, let's say, for example, a petrol station to take care of refueling. Never happens in the construction equipment industry. It's always filled in barrels and buckets, etc. So, I won't call it as an abuse, but that's been the norm in the industry. Our engines have to be engineered to take care of such kind of a practice in the industry. I will not call it as an abuse, but it's a practice in the industry. And more importantly, is the fuel filtration systems have to be absolutely intact, so that it doesn't affect the fuel injection system per se.
With the government announcing many more road projects, how do you see this segment growing, and how is it going to impact the business of Ashok Leyland?
I think this is an opportunity for all of us in the equipment industry today. Not only per se Ashok Leyland, but any growth that's going to happen in India. I would rather say the other way, that what we see in India is not going to be what we're going to see in about next 15 to 20 years or so, or why not 15, 20 years, even by 2030 or so. What we heard is 70% of that is yet to be built from what the infra that we have today in India. So what it means to India, we are marching towards a $5 trillion economy. We are moving across into growing the network on road, rail, as well as the airspace. Newer infra is being developed, and a lot more power plants are coming up. So everywhere we talk about any construction or any infra growth, we will play a major role, because we've been predominantly supplying and depending on the automotive space on the construction, as well as on the CV space on the with the power solution business today. We are actually migrating, or we are leveraging a space on the automotive side to create engine platforms to suit various different applications for the construction equipment today. So I think overall, with the growth that's happening in India, I do foresee, because as you rightly said, the impetus going to be on infra, the market is also going to be upbeat. There have been certain challenges with respect to the rising fuel costs, the rising steel costs, the availability concerns with respect to the chips, etc. But I don't think it's all going to be, the market will start absorbing slowly.
So Rajesh, how is the trucking segment faring, especially in the construction equipment segment, and how do you see the prospects of the same, especially with the scrapping policy also coming into effect?
I think if you're looking at the automotive space in the last couple of quarters, I think there's a little upswing that's happening in the market. Primarily because the certain lower end of the spectrum, like for example the intermediate commercial vehicles or the light segment vehicles, they're all slowly migrating to CNG today. So the market shift is happening between diesel and CNG primarily because of the fuel costs. But overall, if you're looking at it, there's a bigger opportunity for the infra business. Once it starts moving up, the tipper segments or the load body segments or the cement carriers, etc., plus the construction equipment industry is all going to have an upswing in the market as well.
Finally, Rajesh, how do you see the future of Ashok Leyland in this segment from here on?
We want to bring in across the state-of-the-art infra for the engine per se, because primarily we have been an engine player. We also slowly want to migrate across in the aggregate business, like for example, providing gearboxes, axle aggregates for certain demands that's coming up across in the industry. But we are actually future ready as we speak today. From the current BS4 CV that's applicable for the Indian construction equipment industry, we have a range of engines which is also possible for us to migrate to the next emission of BS5 without any modularity change. So for the end customer, is only going to change the after-treatment system from what we have today to the BS5. In fact, we are displaying our next gen future-ready BS5 platform EATS also today. So we are ahead of the platform. We are ahead of the curve in terms of the technology. I think the constant innovation that we put across in the company is going to support us in the future as well.
Well friends, that's it from Trans India this week. Next week we will have more news from the road transport and commercial vehicle industry, including what Tata Motors had to offer at Excon 2022. Don't forget to subscribe to Trans India, and until next week, stay safe. Jai Hind.